Is there a peptide for talking to women? The answer is yes. After years of failed experiments, I believe I found the perfect protocol for injecting some bitches into your life. Stop reading How to Win Friends and Influence People or the latest alpha male podcast. Get back to your roots. Let's break down how you can do this for yourself. Before we dive into the list, it's important to remember that nothing on this page should be misconstrued with medical advice. And if you're going to follow through with any of these treatments, you should only do so under direct supervision of a medical professional. All of this is purely for science and your entertainment. Now, let's get into the video. Look, it's no secret that dudes are having a way harder time talking to chicks today. That's because we're rotting our brains on our phone and everything can be done over DMs. We're destroying our hormones with the food and medicine we give ourselves, and it's making it impossible to establish real life connection. In this video, we're going to go over everything you can do to fight back on the attack on your game. Starting with number one, Selank. You know when you see a chick, or you're at the gym, you're at the bar, wherever you're at, and you're thinking in your head, I gotta go say something to this girl. Holy shit, I gotta go talk to this girl. And you just don't. Because somewhere in your head, you're afraid of the fact that she's gonna say, why the hell are you talking to me? Get out of my face. The worst you can do is say no? Absolutely not. There are way worse things that can happen. I've seen them. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. When you're about to go up to this girl and your heart starts racing, you don't know what you're gonna do next, that is GABA deficiency. Selank is a GABA modulator, meaning that users don't get that anxiety that they feel before going up to talk to somebody that might offer rejection. It's like playing the game on easy mode. You get all the upside of if she says yes, but you're not worried about if she says no. And 90% of the time, she'll respect you just for walking up because nobody has the balls to do it anymore. Imagine your brain is like a 1950s TV. You got the picture you want, you got the sound you want, but there's static everywhere. That static is your anxiety. Using the Selank is like hitting the mute button on the static, but keeping all the good noise you want. Now you've gotten over walking up to her, the next challenge, what do you say? Most people, myself included, end up stuttering like an idiot because our brains have been so far rotted by social media that we don't really know how to form a complex sentence anymore or be clever or be witty or charming in any way because our brains only can operate for about 3 seconds in one direction before having to pivot. Insert one of my favorite neurocognitive combos, Semax and NAD+. Semax increases BDNF, which is brain-derived nootropic factor, which gives your brain the ability to have some sort of verbal fluency. It allows more pathways for the neurons in your brain to make connections so that you can form a complete sentence and not sound like the jackass you are. It's kind of like adding fiber optic cable to your brain. Insert the NAD, which is like supercharging them with twice the electricity. NAD stimulates ATP production, which is your body's ability to stimulate cellular energy. So now the neurons in your brain have gone from a little side road to a full Daytona 500 racetrack, and it's not racing with a Honda Civic, it's racing with a Formula One race car. The game that starts to come out of your mouth on this stuff, you're not even gonna believe that it's you saying it. All right, we've gotten past the hardest part for nearly every dude, which is how do I go up to her? And then what do I say? Next, we just have to make sure you look the part. Now I could sit here and rattle off 100 different peptides that are gonna make you better looking. There's really only 2 things you need as a man that if you got them, most of the other stuff doesn't matter. The first is, do you have some sort of physique? Having some level of muscle mass puts you past 90% of the competition before you even open your mouth. You guys have heard me mention this before on this page. My favorite peptide for physique is going to be Tesamorelin and Ipamorelin blend. These are growth hormone secretagogues. They are specifically designed to hit the somatropic axis, which helps your body burn fat and build muscle at the same time. This has helped me completely avoid the need to continue going on bulks and cuts. You can just gain muscle while losing fat at the same time. It is the best thing that I have ever done for my body. I live in Florida. Today is the middle of February. Tomorrow is going to be 83 degrees outside and I'm going to the beach. There's a lot of time to be shirtless. The last thing you want to do is be the fat tubby guy walking around the beach trying to get chicks. And a close second is being the skinny fat guy. This is who I was for years, where you can't tell if this guy looks out of shape or anorexic. It's just a weird mesh of the in-between. Contrary to what the internet might tell you, it is biological nature for chicks to be attracted to. The only women who say otherwise are usually not the women I want to talk to, but everybody has their own preference. I'm not here to judge. That's step one of the look. The next thing that solves pretty much every aesthetic issue is having a tan. You guys know where I'm going with this. Melanotan I or Melanotan II are going to be your key factors for keeping that tan up all year round. I know one of the biggest issues I had for years before I lived in Florida was every winter my skin would look horrible. I looked pale, ghostly, sickly. Nobody looks good when they're pale. You also don't want to fry yourself in the sun all day. That's not necessarily good for you either. Melanotan is a melanocortin agonist, which tells your body to produce more melanin to give your skin a darker pigmentation without being in the sun all day. Now, mind you, on this peptide, you do need to make sure you're getting some sunlight. Otherwise, it's all just going to go to your freckles. But the nice part about it is even in a 2 UV, it's still going to work like it's a 7 or an 8. If you can be jacked, tan, and verbally excellent with the opposite sex, there is no way you remain single for long if that's your goal. Now, if this for some reason just does not work and you need a fail-safe, a surefire guarantee, there are 2 things out there that you can do that take risk out of the equation. Before we get to this part of the video, I'd like to put a disclaimer out there that the next topic I'm going to cover with you, I am not suggesting you do this. I have never done this myself, but I think it is worth noting in the scientific community what is possible in the human body. Just like every emotion in the body, it is all a combination of chemicals and hormones that are bouncing around our brain that make us feel certain things based on our outside interaction and the world that we see around us. The hormone that is released when you fall in love is called oxytocin. You can actually take oxytocin in a pill or injectable format to increase this hormone. Now, there's two ways to do this. You can either use this yourself to increase your body's internal reward system, which is your dopamine, giving you this extreme confidence and this extreme ability to talk to people because you feel like you are winning in every conversation. It also inhibits the amygdala, which is the body's internal fear mechanism. So you're turning off your ability to have fear or self-doubt. You're increasing your ability to feel reward, dopamine, and all of the positives of an interaction with the opposite sex. So you're turning off your body's ability to process fear, and you're increasing your body's dopamine and reward system, the same mechanism that would go off if you're having a good conversation with a chick. And then pumping the oxytocin, giving your brain the authentic feeling of what it would be like to be in love with this person. Now, again, it's really important to note here, I have never done this myself, nor do I recommend anybody do this, but it does stand to reason that if you were to give somebody else oxytocin and you were to take oxytocin at the same time, both of you would be feeling this rush of the love hormone that we all experience when we are truly in love. Theoretically, you could create a fake scenario where you force each other to fall in love, and that's where it gets its name, the Cupid drug. Oxytocin also gives a hand to vasopressin. If oxytocin is the love hormone, vasopressin is the reason you stay committed to that person, otherwise known as the monogamy molecule. It makes it so that you want to invest into this person. So if you're a man, you would feel the urge to protect this person, to provide for this person, while the stimulation of love and all these other feelings are going through you. Again, nobody should ever give someone drugs or medication without their knowledge. Make sure that if you're going to take this with a partner, that they are fully educated on what's about to happen. However, I will say if you do decide to do it with your partner, maybe your girlfriend or someone that you are consenting with to do this, you will experience an extreme burst of connection with each other, and it is something that has saved a lot of marriages and relationships before. And the last one I'll touch in this video is the old reliable. It's not necessarily a peptide, but I do believe it's worth noting, and that is just plain old-fashioned raising your testosterone, whether that is with enclomiphene, HCG, or good old-fashioned TRT. It is a scientific fact that your androgenic output is literally on women's radar, and they can tell whether you have regulated or irregulated hormones. This doesn't mean that they have a conscious feeling in their head. It's like, oh, that guy has low testosterone, let me avoid that guy. They're not witches, right? But a subconscious psychological signal does go off in their head on who they should and shouldn't invest their time into. I'm not saying that this makes it a guarantee or a not guarantee, depending on where your hormonal balance lies, but it does give you either a really deep hole to climb out of or a really advantageous starting position, because biologically they are just more attracted to your presence. Something else worth noting, and it is my favorite part of having optimized testosterone, is it also deregulates the amygdala, so you don't have to take oxytocin to get rid of your fear. Having higher testosterone eliminates fear and self-doubt from your body from a chemical level. It is not because you're just so hopped up and you want to go conquer and kill, although you do feel the desire to go be ambitious and go provide and go be capable as a man, but it also turns off your ability to fear failure. I would argue the number one thing that is plaguing men today is the fear of failure. My personal belief is because everything is documented on social media, whether that is text, screenshots, videos, or just group chat messages that get sent out about what everyone's doing all the time. People are so afraid to fail because they know there's a really high chance other people are going to find out about it. Now, when you're on testosterone, two things happen. Number one, you don't fear that. Number two, you just don't care if it happens, because even when you do fail, you know the only way you're actually going to grow or succeed in any scenario is by failing. In the gym, we all push ourselves to muscular failure every day because we know that's the only way the muscle's gonna grow. So why do we stop that when it comes to out of the gym? Why are we afraid to take the jump when it comes to dating or success, career, anything? Why are we scared of failure in the areas that it would benefit us the most? I had a fun time making this video because there's a lot of things you can do as a man to increase your chances with women, and I went over a lot of them here today. But at the end of the day, it's really important to understand that we as men have a responsibility to go out and fail. That means trying things that scare you. If you're unable to get yourself to go fail, that is a really clear indicator that you probably have some sort of unbalanced hormone in one way or another, because fear, just like love, just like joy, just like sadness, are all a balance of chemicals and hormones bouncing around our brain on a perception that we have created in our own outside world. Guys, if you like videos like this, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment on what you might want to see next, and I'll see you guys at the next one.